I'm not sure if you're ready for this one, but let me tell you, God does not have a plan for your future that's going to work out like you think it will. What's ahead for you is not going to look the way you expect, and that's okay, because what's ahead is better than you could ever imagine, but it requires something a little harder than you think. It's not about how hard you work, how much you know, or how much you can control. No, it's about trusting in something bigger than yourself. I know you're thinking, but how do I trust when I don't know what's going to happen next? I get it. It's hard. It's tough to step into a future that's unclear, a future where the questions outnumber the answers. It's hard to let go of what you think you can control, what you want to hold on to, and place that in the hands of a bigger plan, a plan you can't see yet, a plan you're not even sure you understand. Let me tell you something, your future is not something you need to fear. It's not something you need to fight against or try to figure out on your own. What you're doing right now is exactly what you need to be doing. You're not wasting time. Your life isn't going off course. The delay is part of the plan, the detour, the struggle, the obstacles. They're all shaping you for something greater than you can understand right now. Here's what you need to know. You're exactly where you need to be. I know you don't feel that way. I know you're struggling with the doubts, the fears, the uncertainty. But I'm telling you, it's in the waiting, it's in the unknown that you learn how to trust. And trust isn't just about waiting. Trust isn't about saying, I'm going to sit here and hope for the best. No, trust is about taking a step, even when you don't have the full picture. Trust is about knowing that even though you can't see it yet, God is still working. You can trust that the path you're on is leading you to something greater. We get so caught up in trying to control everything, don't we? We want to know every step, every detail, every twist and turn before we even take the first step. But let me remind you of something. We weren't meant to know everything, and that's okay. What's hard for us is the uncertainty, the waiting, the not knowing. But I want you to remember that what you see as a setback, as a delay, is simply a setup for something better. And the longer you hold on to the idea that you can control your life and your future, the longer you keep pushing against that reality, the harder it's going to be. It's time to let go. But let go of what? What does that mean? It means surrendering. It means trusting that even though you don't have it all figured out, even though you don't have every piece of the puzzle in place, you are still walking in the right direction. It means putting your faith in the process, even when it looks different than what you imagined. It means believing that the challenges, the things you don't understand, the roadblocks you face, they're not signs that something is wrong. They're signs that something is working. Something is happening behind the scenes that you can't see yet. You have to trust that God is working even when you don't feel like it, even when things don't look the way you thought they would. You have to trust that every single detail is working together, every small step, every decision you make, every failure, every success. They're all part of something bigger. You may not be able to see it now, but there is a bigger plan at work. I know it's easy to look at someone else's life and think, why is everything working out for them? Why don't I have it like they do? The comparison trap is real, isn't it? We look around and we think that everyone else has it all figured out, but you can't compare your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. You don't know the battles they're facing, the decisions they're wrestling with, the things they've had to fight through to get to where they are. But here's what I know. The comparison won't help you move forward. It'll only slow you down. What's ahead for you is not just about the destination, it's about the process. It's about how you walk in the waiting, how you handle the unknown. And let me be real with you for a second. Trusting is hard, but here's the thing. Trust is a choice. It's not something that comes naturally to us. It's something we have to choose to do every single day, every single moment. When things don't go the way we expect, when we're disappointed or frustrated, we have to choose to trust. And when we don't see the breakthrough we've been praying for, when we don't have all the answers, we choose trust. Trust is an act of faith. It's saying, even though I don't know what's coming next, I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep walking in faith, even when I can't see the way. And there's something powerful about that. There's something powerful about walking through the unknown, even when you don't have the answers, because that's when you learn how to rely on something greater than yourself. That's when you stop trying to do it all on your own and you start to trust in a process that's bigger than you. Now, I know you've got dreams, I know you've got plans, and I know you're working hard to get where you want to go. And that's great. Don't stop working. Don't stop pushing forward. But you've got to let go of the idea that you have to have everything figured out. Let go of the worry. Let go of the anxiety. Let go of the control. Because the more you try to control it, the more you're fighting against the very thing that's trying to work out for you. You may be asking, but what if I make the wrong decision? What if I mess it all up? Here's the truth. God's not surprised by your mistakes. He's not taken off guard by the things you get wrong. And the beauty is he works all things together for good, even the mistakes, even the detours, even the things that feel like failures. He's using it all. There's nothing that's wasted. There's nothing that's out of his control. And that brings us back to this trust. Trust is the key to walking in faith. When you trust, you're not worried about what's coming next. When you trust, you can rest. You don't have to carry the weight of figuring it all out on your own because you know that there's a plan in place that's bigger than your understanding. You don't have to be anxious about your future because your future is already secure. It's already in motion. It's already on its way. The waiting is part of it, and you can't skip over it. It's in the waiting that you get stronger, that you learn the lessons you need to learn, that you develop the character you need to handle the future God has for you. It's in the waiting that you learn how to trust, how to let go, how to surrender your plans and your timeline. It's in the waiting that God is building something in you, preparing you for what's ahead. And let me tell you, you don't want to miss out on what God has in store for you. You don't want to rush ahead and miss the lessons in the waiting, the breakthroughs that come when you least expect it. The beauty of the journey is that it's never linear. It's full of ups and downs, twists and turns, moments of frustration and moments of pure joy. But if you can trust in the process, if you can trust in the waiting, then you'll see that it's all worth it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to stop worrying. I want you to stop stressing over the details. Stop trying to figure everything out. Stop fighting against the uncertainty. Instead, choose trust. Trust that what's ahead is better than what you can see. Trust that the road you're on is leading you somewhere amazing. Trust that the struggles you're facing are not signs that something's wrong. They're signs that something is being built in you, something that will take you to places you've never imagined. And when you trust, when you let go and surrender, that's when you start to walk in the full blessing of what God has for you. It's in the trust that you'll see the breakthrough. It's in the trust that you'll see your future unfold in ways you could never have predicted. So trust. It's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing that you're not in control, and that's okay. Because God is, and his plan is better than anything you could ever come up with on your own. So walk forward with confidence, with trust. Your future is waiting for you. It's already on its way. Trust the process, trust the journey, and trust that what's ahead is going to be more than worth the wait. You see, the reality is your future will rarely look like what you imagined. We all get caught up in planning, dreaming, and envisioning the perfect trajectory of our lives. We write down goals, make detailed plans, and envision the perfect scenario where everything lines up just right. But what happens when that doesn't happen? What happens when things don't go the way you thought they would? What happens when the road isn't as smooth, when the path gets harder, when the obstacles get bigger? That's where trust comes in. You see, it's not the smooth path that shapes us. It's the bumps, the detours, the setbacks, the challenges. You know, when you're walking through life and things don't seem to be working out the way you thought, it's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to feel like you're failing, that you're doing something wrong, or that you're off track. But what if those things that seem like setbacks are actually setups? What if those unexpected delays and detours are part of something much bigger, something better than you can imagine right now? It's in those moments of uncertainty, in the times when you're not sure if you're headed in the right direction, that you must trust in the process. You have to trust that what's ahead is better than what you can see right now. The truth is, we often don't know the full story. We don't see the bigger picture. We don't know what God is doing behind the scenes, weaving together circumstances, people, and events to create something greater than we can imagine. But trust is about believing that even in those moments of doubt, even when things seem uncertain. Something powerful is happening that we cannot yet see. The process is just as important as the destination, maybe even more important, because it's during the process that we grow, learn, and become who we're supposed to be. You might be thinking, but why does it have to be so hard? Why can't it be easy? Why can't it just happen the way I want it to? I get it. It's frustrating when things don't go as planned. We want to move forward, we want progress, and we want things to fall into place. But here's the thing. True progress isn't about getting everything right all the time. It's about learning to trust in the process, even when it doesn't look like you thought it would. Trust means believing that even though you can't see it right now, there's a plan unfolding that's going to lead you to something greater. The challenges you face today aren't evidence that you're failing. They are evidence that you are being shaped. It's in the hard moments, the confusing seasons, the times when things don't make sense that we are refined. Think about it. If everything were easy, if everything went according to plan, would you really grow? Would you develop the character, the perseverance, the faith that you need for what's ahead? No. The challenges, the setbacks, the unexpected changes, they're all part of the process. They are not signs that you're off course. They are signs that you are exactly where you need to be. When we trust in the process, we are saying, I may not understand why things are happening the way they are right now, but I trust that this is leading me somewhere. I trust that what I can't see is still working for me, even when I don't have the full picture. That's where faith steps in. Faith isn't just about believing in the destination. It's about believing that the path you're on is leading you somewhere good. It's about trusting that every moment, every season, every delay, every challenge has a purpose. And in that purpose, there is something greater being built in you. Let me tell you, it's easy to trust when everything is going well, when everything is falling into place the way you thought it would. But true trust is developed when things are tough, when the road is long, and when the outcome is unclear. That's where real faith is tested, and that's when trust becomes a choice, not a feeling. You may not feel like everything is going the way you hoped, but trust is not about your feelings. It's about your faith in the process, in the unseen, and in the belief that what's ahead is worth it. In moments of frustration and doubt, remind yourself that what you're going through is not wasted. The hard times aren't punishment, they are preparation. The struggle isn't a sign that you're off track. It's a sign that you're being shaped into something stronger, more resilient, and more equipped for what lies ahead. The process is making you ready for what's coming next. The delays, the changes, the challenges are all part of a divine preparation. Trusting the process means believing that even though you can't see the end result yet, everything you're going through is moving you closer to where you're supposed to be. Think about your life as a canvas. Right now, it might look like a bunch of random, scattered brush strokes, and it's hard to understand what it all means. But there's an artist at work, and with every stroke, with every move, something beautiful is being created. You may not be able to see the finished painting yet, but trust that every stroke is intentional. Trust that every part of the process is leading to something beautiful, even when you don't see it yet. The more you trust the artist, the more you'll be able to step back and say, I don't need to see the whole picture to know that it's being created with purpose. And let me remind you, just because things don't look the way you want them to, doesn't mean you're off course. The process doesn't always follow the straight line you expect. Sometimes you'll find yourself taking a detour or facing a challenge that seems out of place, and it's easy to assume that something's wrong. But in reality, these moments are shaping you. They are preparing you for a bigger picture that you may not understand yet. You've got to trust that even the challenges are a part of the process. They are teaching you things that you'll need in the next season of your life. You may not see it now, but the things you're learning today will prepare you for the blessings ahead. And here's the thing, trusting the process isn't just about believing that everything will work out eventually. It's also about being faithful in the small moment. It's about trusting that even the smallest steps forward matter. It's about seeing progress, not as the absence of difficulty, but as the result of persistence through difficulty. Sometimes you won't see immediate results. Sometimes it feels like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But don't get discouraged. Those small steps matter. The work you're putting in now, even when it feels like you're not moving fast enough, is building the foundation for your future. Trust that every step is leading you somewhere, even when you don't see the full path. So when things get tough, when you can't see how it's all going to work out, remember, it's the process that makes you who you are. The delays, the setbacks, the detours, they are all part of the process. And when you trust in that process, you are positioning yourself for a future that is greater than anything you could have imagined. The road ahead may not be easy, but it will be worth it. The journey is where the transformation happens, and trust is the key to unlocking that transformation. You see, one of the hardest things we have to face in life is the reality that we are not in control. That's a tough pill to swallow, isn't it? We spend so much of our lives trying to control the outcome, trying to control the timing, trying to control every little detail. And I get it. It's natural to want to have things in our hands. We feel better when we have control. We feel like we can protect ourselves, plan for the future, and make sure everything works out the way we think it should if we can just manage every little thing. But here's the truth. You cannot control everything. And as hard as it is to accept that, the sooner you do, the better your life will be. The more we try to control, the more we find ourselves anxious and exhausted. We worry about every choice, every decision, every potential outcome. We lie awake at night thinking about what could go wrong, what we need to do next, and what we can change. But the reality is, all that control doesn't actually protect us. It doesn't keep us safe. It doesn't guarantee the outcome we want. What it does is rob us of peace and trust. It makes us believe that if we can just do enough or plan enough or control enough, we'll somehow be able to secure the future. But the future is not ours to secure. When you learn to let go of control, you are freeing yourself from the constant pressure to manage everything. And that's when the weight of the world starts to feel a little bit lighter. You see, true peace doesn't come from knowing every detail of your future. It doesn't come from managing every aspect of your life. True peace comes from surrendering control to a bigger plan, a plan that's being worked out behind the scenes even when you don't understand it. When you let go of control, you're saying, I trust that what's meant for me will come to me in its time and in the way that's best for me. This is where faith steps in. Faith isn't about having all the answers or knowing exactly how things are going to work out. Faith is about trusting that you don't need to have it all figured out. It's trusting that even in the unknown, even when things aren't going the way you thought they would, there is something greater at work. Faith is not about controlling the future. Faith is about surrendering to the process, even when you can't see the path ahead. It's about saying, I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I trust that I'm not alone in this. I trust that I don't have to control everything for everything to be okay. Letting go of control doesn't mean you stop working or making decisions. It doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. No, letting go of control means you're free to live in the moment without carrying the weight of trying to predict or manage every outcome. It means you're free to take the next step without knowing how it all fits together because you know that each step is a part of a bigger story. It means being able to move forward without constantly second-guessing yourself or worrying about the future. In fact, letting go of control allows you to take more meaningful action. When you're no longer burdened with the anxiety of controlling everything, you can focus on what truly matters. You can take action with confidence, knowing that you don't have to have everything figured out before you start. You can make decisions without the paralyzing fear of making the wrong choice. You can move forward in faith, knowing that even if you don't know exactly what's ahead, you are walking in the right direction. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you found yourself stuck in a situation, unable to make progress because you were so fixated on controlling every detail? How many times have you missed opportunities or failed to take risks because you were worried about what could go wrong? When we try to control everything, we become paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice. But when we let go, we free ourselves to move forward, to step into the unknown, to trust that even if things don't go according to plan, we'll still be okay. Letting go of control is about realizing that you are not the one holding the universe together. You are not the one who has to make everything work. It's about recognizing that you don't have to carry the burden of securing your future all on your own. There is something bigger at work. And when you stop trying to control everything, you start to experience a sense of peace and freedom that you can't find any other way. You start to realize that you don't have to make everything happen. You just have to show up and do your part. Another reason why letting go of control is so important is because it opens the door for you to experience life more fully. When you're constantly trying to control everything, you're not fully present in the moment. You're always looking ahead, always anticipating the next thing, always worrying about what could go wrong. But when you let go, you can be present with what's right in front of you. You can enjoy the process, not just the destination. You can appreciate the people, the experiences, and the lessons that are right in front of you instead of constantly focusing on what's next. Letting go allows you to be more grounded in the here and now. And here's the truth. When you let go of control, you allow yourself to receive the blessings that are already on their way to you. When we're gripping the future with a tight fist, when we're trying to control every outcome, we close ourselves off to the unexpected blessings that might be coming our way. But when we loosen our grip, when we stop trying to manage everything, we open ourselves up to receive the things we couldn't even imagine. Sometimes the best things that come into our lives are the things we didn't plan for, the things that weren't in our 5-year plan, the things we couldn't control. And when you let go, you make space for those blessings to come in. It's hard, I know. It's hard to trust that things will work out when we can't see how it all fits together. But letting go of control is not about passivity. It's about having the faith to trust that something greater is in charge. It's about letting go of the illusion that you are the one who has to make everything happen, and instead trusting that there is a plan unfolding, one that is bigger and better than anything you could orchestrate on your own. And here's the powerful part of all of this. When you let go of control, you're not giving up on your future. You're not giving up on your dreams. Letting go of control is actually the first step in fully stepping into your destiny. It's in the surrender that you find the freedom to move forward. It's in letting go that you open yourself up to receive more than you ever could if you were trying to hold everything in your own hand. The moment you stop trying to control every little detail is the moment you give God the space to do something greater than you could ever ask for or imagine. So yes, letting go of control is hard. It's uncomfortable. It takes faith, but the freedom that comes with it is worth it. Let go of the worry. Let go of the anxiety. Let go of the need to know every detail and let the process unfold. Because the more you trust, the more you will see that your life is not in your hands to control. It's in the hands of a plan far greater than you can imagine. Waiting is one of the most difficult parts of any journey. We live in a world that thrives on instant gratification, where we can get almost anything we want at the push of a button. We're used to getting results quickly, whether it's a text message that sends instantly or the ability to order food and have it delivered within an hour. We've conditioned ourselves to expect things now. So when life doesn't unfold on our timeline, it can feel frustrating, confusing, and discouraging. Waiting can make us feel like we're stuck, like we're wasting time, or like we've somehow missed out on something. But the truth is, waiting is not a waste of time. It's a season of preparation, a moment where growth happens, and a space where we can learn to trust in the bigger plan that's at work in our lives. When we find ourselves waiting for something, it's easy to feel like nothing is happening. We don't see progress. We don't feel like we're moving forward, and we start to question whether it's even worth it. But waiting is not the same as doing nothing. It's easy to think that if we're not actively moving towards something, we're failing. But that couldn't be further from the truth. There is work being done in the waiting, even if it's not visible to us. Think about a seed that is planted in the ground. It goes through a period of time where it's completely hidden from sight, buried beneath the soil. To the naked eye, nothing is happening. But underneath the surface, the seed is sprouting, roots are growing, and life is starting to take form. Waiting is like that process. It's the part of life where things are happening below the surface, in places we can't see or understand, but they're still preparing us for what's ahead. In the waiting, we have the chance to reflect, to prepare ourselves for the next season, and to grow in ways we couldn't if everything were happening on our timetable. It's in the waiting that we develop patience, perseverance, and the ability to handle the challenges that come with what we're waiting for. Think about it. If everything were to happen immediately, if we got everything we wanted as soon as we wanted it, would we really be ready for it? Would we have the character, the strength, and the wisdom to handle the blessing we're asking for? Sometimes waiting is necessary because we need time to become the person we're meant to be before we step into the future we've been dreaming about. Waiting also teaches us to trust in the process, even when we don't see the outcome. Trusting in the waiting means believing that even when nothing seems to be happening, there's still something bigger at work. It means choosing to stay faithful even when the road ahead is unclear. We want answers, we want movement, we want progress, but sometimes we need to learn to trust that the waiting is part of the journey. It's in these seasons of uncertainty that our faith is built. We're forced to let go of our need for control and trust that the right thing will come at the right time. It's hard, it's uncomfortable, and it doesn't always make sense. But that's where growth happens. It's easy to feel like we're being held back during times of waiting, but in reality, we're being shaped. The waiting period is where we're being prepared for the blessing we're about to receive. It's where we learn what we need to know, develop the strength we need to stand, and gain the understanding that will help us navigate the next phase of life. Think about the times in your life when things didn't happen the way you wanted them to, or when you had to wait longer than you expected. Looking back, didn't you often see that those waiting seasons were what gave you the resilience, the clarity, or the strength you needed? It's easy to overlook the value of waiting when we're in the middle of it, but it's in these seasons that we are being refined and built up. Another thing to understand is that the waiting period isn't just about being prepared. It's also about the timing. We may think we know what's best, but we don't always see the whole picture. There are things happening behind the scenes that we don't understand, things that are being arranged for us in ways we can't control. Waiting allows us to trust that the timing will work out exactly as it should. It teaches us that not everything is about our schedule. We may want things to happen faster, but there's a reason for the timing. We can't always see it in the moment, but when the right time comes, we will look back and understand why it had to unfold the way it did. If we rushed the process, we might miss the lessons that are meant to be learned, or we might miss out on a door that's opening in the right moment. The danger in not understanding the value of waiting is that we can become impatient and start to force things. We can try to make things happen on our own, take shortcuts, or settle for less because we're tired of waiting. But when we do that, we end up compromising our future for the sake of immediate results. Trusting in the waiting means resisting the urge to make things happen prematurely. It means staying faithful and committed, even when we can't see the end goal yet. The greatest blessings often come when we least expect them, and sometimes we need to stay in the waiting to make sure we're ready for what's about to unfold. And it's important to note that waiting doesn't mean you're doing nothing. It doesn't mean you're sitting around passively hoping that something will change. It means you're still moving forward, even if it's not at the pace you expected. It means you're still preparing yourself for the next season, taking small steps toward your goals, and trusting that every moment of waiting is still part of the bigger picture. Waiting is not idle. It's an active process of trust, preparation, and perseverance. It's about continuing to work on yourself, continuing to grow, and continuing to trust that the right things are coming at the right time. Sometimes the waiting period can feel like a test of faith. It's easy to trust when everything is going according to plan, when we're seeing progress, and when things are moving quickly. But waiting requires a different kind of trust, a trust that believes that even when things aren't moving as fast as we want, God is still at work. It's about knowing that we are not alone in the waiting, that there is purpose in this season, and that what we're waiting for will be worth the wait. When we trust in the waiting, we acknowledge that there is power in the process, even if we don't fully understand it. We learn to see that the delays, the uncertainty, and the waiting are not signs of failure, but signs of growth. They are not evidence that we are stuck. They are proof that we are being prepared for something greater. The waiting is where our hearts are shaped, where our minds are focused, and where our spirits are strengthened. It's in the waiting that we learn to surrender our own plans and trust in the greater plan that's unfolding before us. So, the next time you find yourself waiting, whether it's for a dream to come true, a new opportunity, or a change in your life, remember that waiting is not wasted time. It's a season of preparation, of growth, of trust. It's where the foundation is laid for everything that's coming next. Trust the waiting because it's part of your journey and it's leading you to something far greater than you can imagine. You see, one of the hardest parts of trusting the future is not knowing how things are going to unfold. We want certainty. We want a clear path, a step-by-step guide to what's ahead. But life and its beautiful unpredictability doesn't always work like that. The reality is we are walking into an unknown future. We don't have all the answers, and we certainly don't have control over every twist and turn that's coming our way. And that's exactly why trust is so powerful. It's easy to trust when we can see the path clearly, but true trust is built in the uncertainty. It's not about knowing the future. It's about believing in the one who holds the future. There's a significant difference between knowing where we're going and trusting that we will get there. Sometimes we think that we need to know every detail, every step before we take the next one. We feel like if we don't have a solid, clear picture of what's ahead, we can't move forward. But life doesn't always give us that clarity up front. Sometimes all we get is a glimpse of the next step, not the entire journey. And here's the truth, that's okay. You don't need to have it all figured out right now. You don't need to know everything that's coming. What you need is the courage to take that next step, even when you don't know where it's leading you. Trusting in the unknown is a choice to let go of the fear that tries to paralyze us. It's easy to get caught up in the what ifs. What if I make the wrong choice? What if I mess up? What if things don't work out the way I thought they would? But let me tell you, those what ifs will always be there. They're a part of life. The trick is not letting them control your decisions. Trust is choosing to move forward anyway, even when the path ahead is unclear. It's stepping out in faith, even when you can't see the whole picture. And in doing so, you open yourself up to the possibility of something greater than you could have ever imagined. Think about the journey of a seed. When it's first planted, it doesn't know exactly how or when it will break through the soil. It's in complete darkness for a time. It has no idea how long the process will take or what the final result will look like. But it trusts the process. It trusts that if it stays rooted in the ground, eventually it will grow. It trusts that there's something greater happening beneath the surface. And over time, it begins to sprout, then stretch towards the sun, slowly, steadily growing into something beautiful. That's how our journeys often look. At first, we don't see the whole picture. We don't know how long it will take or exactly what we're becoming, but we trust that we're being shaped and prepared for something great. Trusting the unknown doesn't mean you won't experience doubt or fear. It doesn't mean you won't have moments where you wonder if you're making the right decision. But trust is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep moving forward despite it. It's the confidence that even when you don't have the answers, you're not alone in this. And it's the assurance that your steps are being guided even when you can't see exactly where they're leading. It's about trusting that even in the uncertainty, there is a purpose being woven into your life, even if it's invisible to you right now. One of the biggest challenges we face when we step into the unknown is the fear of failure. We're afraid of making the wrong decision, of stepping out into the unknown and realizing we've gone the wrong way. But here's something to remember. Failure isn't the end of the road. It's a part of the journey. In fact, failure is often what teaches us the most. It's through our failures that we learn what works and what doesn't. And what doesn't, if everything went according to plan all the time, we'd never experience the growth and transformation that happens when we face challenges. Think about the times in your life when things didn't go according to plan. And yet, in hindsight, those moments became some of the most significant turning points. Sometimes we think we need to avoid failure at all costs. But the truth is, failure often leads us to a deeper understanding of who we are and what we're truly capable of. It's through those moments that we discover resilience, perseverance, and strength we didn't know we had. And that's how trust works. It's built in the unknown, in the moments where we have to decide that even if we don't know how things will turn out, we're going to keep moving forward anyway. The unknown isn't a place of fear, it's a place of opportunity. Every time you step into the unknown, you open yourself up to new possibilities. You make space for growth, for learning, for discovery. The future is full of opportunities that you can't even begin to imagine right now. Yes, there's uncertainty, but with that uncertainty comes the freedom to discover, the ability to be surprised, and the chance to become something greater than you are today. When we trust in the unknown, we are giving ourselves the permission to let go of our need to control and embrace the adventure that lies ahead. We stop worrying about whether we're making the right decision at every moment, and instead, we trust that the right decisions will unfold as we move forward. We trust that even if we can't see the whole map, the next step will become clear when the time is right. And we trust that the journey is worth it, even when we don't know exactly where we're going. This is not always easy, and it doesn't come naturally. We want control. We want answers. We want to feel secure. But growth rarely happens in the comfort zone. It happens in the unknown, in the stretching, in the stepping out into new territory. The more we trust the unknown, the more we allow ourselves to grow and transform, the more we let go of our need to control the outcome, the more we allow God to do something in us that's bigger than we could ever do on our own. Trusting the unknown means letting go of the illusion of certainty. It means accepting that we can't control the future, but we can trust that the future is being shaped in ways we can't see. It means knowing that even though we don't have all the answers, we are still moving toward something good, something greater, something beyond our understanding. Trusting the unknown is an act of faith. It's believing that even when we don't know how things will unfold, we are not walking this journey alone. And here's the truth. The unknown is not a scary place. It's the place where miracles happen, where dreams are birthed, where opportunities open up. It's where we grow, where we're challenged, and where we find out who we truly are. It's in the unknown that we realize that we don't have to know everything to step out in faith. We just have to trust that the path is being paved, even if we can't see it yet. And when we do, we find ourselves on a journey that leads us to places we could never have imagined, a future that is greater than anything we could have planned for ourselves. So trust in the unknown. Don't be afraid of it. Step into it with confidence, knowing that the future is unfolding as it should. The journey might not look the way you expected, but trust that it's taking you exactly where you need to be. Keep moving forward, keep stepping out in faith, and watch how the unknown becomes the most beautiful part of your story.